Have you ever heard about Mercury retrograde and wondered what it is exactly? Well, you're not alone. Today we're going to unravel the mystery that is Mercury retrograde. In the world of astrology, when we say a planet is in retrograde, we mean it appears to be moving backwards in its orbit as viewed from Earth. But don't be fooled, this is simply an optical illusion. Now, Mercury retrograde is a term that's been thrown around a lot. It's often blamed for all sorts of disruptions, from communication breakdowns to technological malfunctions. Yet much of this is based on misconceptions and misunderstandings. The truth is, Mercury is not the cosmic scapegoat we make it out to be. So let's dispel the myths and uncover the facts. We'll delve into what Mercury retrograde really means, why it's important, and whether it truly impacts us on an emotional level. In simple terms, it's when a planet appears to be moving backward in its orbit, as observed from Earth. Now, you might be thinking, does Mercury suddenly decide to hit the brakes and reverse its course? As entertaining as that sounds, that's not quite what's happening. This backward motion is actually an optical illusion, resulting from our position relative to Mercury. Here's how it works. Imagine you're on a train, and there's another train on a parallel track. If your train starts to overtake the other, for a moment, it might look as if the other train is moving backward. It's not really, of course. It's just that your train is moving faster. The same thing happens with Earth and Mercury. Both planets are orbiting the Sun, but because Earth's orbit is outside Mercury's and we're moving at different speeds, there are times when Earth overtakes Mercury. During these times, if we look up at the night sky, it appears as if Mercury is moving backward in its orbit. This apparent backward motion is what we call Mercury retrograde. So, when we say Mercury is in retrograde, we're not suggesting that the planet has started to move in the opposite direction. It's just an illusion, a trick of perspective, caused by the relative orbits of Earth and Mercury around the Sun. In summary, Mercury retrograde is an astronomical event where, from our viewpoint here on Earth, Mercury seems to be moving backward in its orbit. However, in reality, it's all about our different speeds and positions in the solar system. So, it's not actually moving backward, it just looks like it is from our perspective. But why is Mercury retrograde important to us? Now that's a question that stirs up a lot of discussion, especially among those who closely follow astrological events. To understand the significance of Mercury retrograde, we need to delve into the realm of astrology. Astrology attributes different aspects of life to different celestial bodies. In the case of Mercury, it's communication, technology, and travel. So when Mercury goes retrograde, astrologers believe it can lead to some hiccups in these areas. Imagine a scenario where you're trying to send an important email, but the internet connection just won't cooperate. Or perhaps you're about to embark on a journey, only to find your flight has been delayed. Or maybe you're having a hard time articulating your thoughts and feelings, leading to misunderstandings. Some people might say, it must be Mercury retrograde. The idea is that Mercury retrograde creates a kind of cosmic turbulence, causing disruptions in the areas that the planet governs. From miscommunications, technological glitches to unexpected travel delays, these are all attributed to this particular celestial event. Now you might be wondering, is there any scientific basis for these beliefs? Well, science doesn't exactly support these ideas. But then again, astrology is not science. It's a belief system that interprets the movements and relative positions of celestial bodies and their supposed influence on human affairs and natural phenomena. The belief in Mercury retrograde and its effects on our daily lives has been around for centuries. It's deeply ingrained in the culture and consciousness of many societies around the world. And even though these beliefs may not have a scientific basis, they continue to hold sway over many people's lives. So, how important is Mercury retrograde? Well, it really depends on who you ask. For some, it's just another celestial event. But for others, it's a significant period that requires careful navigation and increased mindfulness. Whether you believe in astrology or not, it's an interesting concept, isn't it? It's a reminder of how we as humans constantly seek to understand and interpret the world around us, even if it's millions of miles away in the vast expanse of the cosmos. Does Mercury retrograde really affect us emotionally? It's a question that's been asked countless times, and the answer isn't as clear-cut as you might think. While there's no definitive scientific evidence to substantiate these claims, the anecdotal accounts are compelling enough to make us pause and consider. Mercury retrograde, for those who subscribe to it, is often associated with a period of emotional turbulence. But why is that? Well, Mercury in astrology is the planet that rules communication, travel, and technology. So when it appears to go backward in its orbit, some people believe it throws these areas into chaos, leading to misunderstandings, travel delays, and tech mishaps. Coupled with the emotional sensitivity many of us naturally possess, you can see why it might feel like a roller coaster ride. But let's delve a bit deeper. Emotions are complex, and there's a wide array of factors that can influence how we feel. The alignment of celestial bodies is just one potential influence among many. Some people might feel more emotional during Mercury retrograde simply because they're expecting to, based on what they've read or heard. It's a phenomenon known as confirmation bias, where we subconsciously seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs. On the other hand, some people genuinely report feeling out of sorts during these periods. They describe feeling more introspective, more sensitive, and more prone to misunderstandings or miscommunications. It's as if the world around them has shifted slightly off its axis, and they're left trying to navigate this new terrain. But here's the thing, whether Mercury is in retrograde or not, we're all human. We all experience ups and downs, emotional highs and lows. And it's entirely possible that Mercury retrograde simply gives us a framework, a language to articulate what we're going through. So while it might not be a scientific fact, it's a phenomenon that many people identify with. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, the important thing is to listen to your own experiences, to stay open to the possibilities, and to remember that it's okay to feel a little out of sorts sometimes. After all, we're all navigating this cosmic journey together. But why Mercury? Are there other retrogrades? That's an excellent question. You see, all planets go into retrograde, not just Mercury. However, Mercury's retrograde is the most notable due to its frequency. This is because Mercury has the shortest orbit around the Sun, completing a full circuit in just 88 days. This means it goes into retrograde 3 or 4 times a year, much more often than any other planet. Now let's move on to the other planets. Venus, for instance, goes into retrograde every 18 months for about 40 days. During this period, Venus, which is often associated with love and relationships, can cause some emotional upheaval. Then there's Mars, the planet of action and desire. It goes into retrograde approximately every 2 years for about 2 months. This can lead to feelings of frustration or slowed progress. We can't forget the giants of our solar system either. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune also go into retrograde. Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion, goes into retrograde every 12 to 13 months, for about 4 months. Saturn, the taskmaster of the zodiac, goes into retrograde annually for about 4.5 months. Uranus, the planet of change and innovation, goes retrograde each year for about 5 months. And finally, Neptune, the planet of dreams and intuition, also goes into retrograde annually, for about 5 months. Each planet's retrograde has different effects. While Mercury's retrograde is often associated with communication mishaps and technological glitches, other planets' retrogrades can affect different areas of life, from love and relationships to personal growth and career progress. So, while Mercury might get most of the attention, it's not the only planet that goes into retrograde. Each planet's retrograde offers us a chance to slow down, reflect, and reassess. After all, the universe is a complex and fascinating place, full of mysteries waiting to be discovered. So, now you know what Mercury retrograde is all about. It's an astronomical reality where Mercury appears to be moving backward in its orbit from our perspective here on Earth. But it's also an astrological concept, where this apparent backward motion is believed to influence our lives in various ways. We've discussed its significance in astrology, where it's often associated with disruptions, miscommunications, and revisiting old issues. We also explored the question of its emotional impact. While there's no scientific evidence to back it up, many people report feeling more introspective or facing more emotional challenges during these periods. And remember, it's not just Mercury that goes into retrograde. All the planets in our solar system experience this phenomena at some point. Whether or not you believe in its effects, Mercury retrograde is a fascinating astronomical and astrological phenomenon. Thank you for watching.